So listen, I wanted to start by saying thank you because last week you stopped me before I got a chance to get in the car, and you were making your great observations as you always do, just letting me know like, hey, what's going on? Is everything okay? You must have seen some sort of shift in the energy, and what was crazy about that, as I was reflecting on it, journaling on my way home, I tend to like just speak to my phone and voice notes, and I just kind of go through my mind instead of writing things down. I just speak to it, and that's how I get my thoughts across a lot of the time. So as I was doing that, it it kind of occurred to me that you might have been able to see it on multiple occasions throughout the prior week, not just in the moment, but I know that you're very observant. And, so we had the seminar the week prior, um, maybe some difficulty getting my thoughts across. And then subsequently after that, we sat down and we did the interview. Things were going good, or not the interview, but the podcast, and things were going well. But at the end, there was like a loss of train of thought, and reflecting on all of those things, everything is a cycle and it's all connected somehow. You know what I mean? So it's like you pick up on those things because it's also energy that I can give off to other people, to you, to everyone in the room. And so again, I just wanted to say thank you because in the moment, I let you into like the root cause of what was going on. But as I was reflecting in my journal entry, I saw the things leading up, or I was reflecting on the things leading up that could have given not, and I say this because you're important, and I know that the energy, you can read it and you're able to gauge it just like anybody else can, but you don't put that against any of us. Now the difference is like what are the rooms that we walk into where our energy is off, somebody reads it but doesn't take the chance to like approach you, maybe because it's not the best moment. You took, a week later, you approached me about it, but it just made me think. It made me reflect on those things. That it's important for you to reflect on your being, your personal state. So I just want to thank you for that.
Self introspection,
Right,
self reflection.
right.
It's powerful. Like when we talk about energy fitness, that's exactly what we're talking about.
Right.
That is what it's about.
Yeah.
Life itself, right? No matter how you dress it up, it's all about your energy. It's all about the intention of your energy.
Yeah.
Now imagine every single day, right, that we live, we get an abundance of energy. And how we spend it, that's a choice. And we don't get that energy back.
Right.
Like if the date is March 4th, 2001, right? Once that day is gone, there's no getting it back. And the energy, it doesn't get added on to your next day. It's worth of energy. So what kind of energy are you going out with every single day? The concept of gift fitness is the idea of the transference of energy fitness. That's the gift that we're bringing to the world. Through physical fitness, you got your vitality, how much energy you could spend in a day. Through your mental fitness, you got focus and concentration. And the idea of, becoming a voracious reader and being able to be inspired by other people's ideas, because it's not anything brand new. Others have before us, they've lived it.
Sure.
I study the greatest people in the world because I want to become greater than them. Because they left, a mark on the world, and they left a story to make us all become better. So the way I look at my life is my perspective of what I need to do is to push the human race forward. Like I need to bring us even further into our process of evolution.
Yeah.
Then we have emotional fitness. How do we deal with emotions? Do you act on every single emotion? Because soon, let's say from a negative context, you feel a negative emotion, right? And automatically you're going to have a negative action. So the question is, what did the world, did the world impress on your thoughts that now you're focused on negative emotion? Mm-hmm. Or what's happened? Or what haven't you learned when something outside of you happens? There's no control over it, but you can always control what happens inside of you. It's powerful.
Yeah.
And that's the energy. That's what it's about. When I go to New York City public schools to teach the kids, I'm teaching them fitness, but more importantly, I'm teaching them my energy. I'm teaching them my enthusiasm, my excitement, my expression of how I communicate with them. Treating them like little people and actually talking to them. Throwing good thoughts into their awareness. Helping them self-reflect. Helping them take better actions. Putting ideas in them today that, they're going to be born 10, 15, 20 years from now. They won't even know it came from Get Fitness, but it doesn't matter. We're not doing it for credit. We're not doing it because we want this, we want that. We're doing that because we want to make the world better. We want to evolve the world. What happens with kids at that age, from kindergarten all the way to 8th grade, they're learning terms like flow, the psychology of the optimal human experience, grit, the power of passion and perseverance, best practices we all will repeatedly do, PBSS, posture, behavior, sleep, smile. It's gonna be a completely different world, because I know from my personal experience when we were in school, those terms and those kind of things, we didn't have that. We weren't exposed to that. It's about bringing exposure. We're doing a test, a prep rally, right, for a test, and it's about exposing them. So as we're doing it, and we were talking about this earlier, we're gonna bring a professional singer so that we can perform in front of the kids. We're gonna show them our story through a video format. Then I'm gonna personally tell our story and be very vibrant, enthusiastic, excited, so they can get their energy up. Then I'm gonna have the supermodels and the super leaders, the teachers and students from Get Fitness come out and demonstrate some exercises for the kids, just to get their imagination going, exposure. To me, it's like I'm putting on a Broadway show for them. It's 40 minutes of magic. And that's what life is about. It's about energy.
Right.
So we have to be aware of our energy. And it is, as a community, as a family, as an organization, it's important that we hold each other accountable to our best energy. Like most people are like, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. But guess what? If I'm off, tell me. Not too long ago, it was a morning, and what I can say is it's one of our newer students. She comes up to me and she's like, your smile isn't as big as it normally is. And I just started my day. This was before meditation. I walk out, I was like, oh, word? I was like, yeah? Guess what? It's on. Yeah. I'm going all out. And I had such an impactful day. I went out to 3 meetings, crushed them. The work that got done at the schools, crushed. The work that got done at Get Fitness, the gym, crushed. Everybody who I went by, I gave them all my energy. Because she inspired me, because she gave me hers, it inspired me to give it to everybody else.
It's beautiful. Look at that. She's a new student.
She's not even aware of how she impacted me. But that's what life is. We have to inspire each other through energy. It's up to us to be enthusiastic about life. And what I love that what you did was that you journaled, that you self-reflected. Something that was so powerful that you said, right? Is that you looked up at all the little things that led up to that moment. Yeah. Now, when you do that, now you can go back and be like, all right, I'm going to change this. I'm going to change that. I'm going to change this. I'll make sure this is like this. But how many people get stuck on just doing it all over again? And you call that an unconscious bias. They don't even know. It's like, and just to give a better explanation, unconscious bias means it's actually what we really need to fix in the world today. Because we have unconscious biases. Okay. That means if someone's from this country or that culture, or if they wear those type of clothes, or if they smell a certain way, or whatever, it's predetermined assumptions without really knowing that individual and that human being. Wow. It's predetermined. Yeah. Therefore, what we need to do is we need to figure out what are our unconscious biases. And we all have them. We all have them.
Absolutely.
Why is that so important to understand is because we have, like, let's say 3 types of human beings. We have the anxious kind, right? Then we have the ones who are extroverted and introverted, right? That's the second group too. And they kind of shift back and forth. And then we have the third kind, who are just open. And when you're open to experiences. So you go in there open.
Okay.
Ask yourself, right, is when are you not being open? And we have a mix of all three. But ask yourself, when are you not being open? And then work towards that.
Right.
And figure out what decisions you're making without being open. And then start writing out what those unconscious biases are. Because that will make your life better. Sometimes, you know, we end up in situations because there's something that we're unaware of that we are ourselves doing.
Is there anything in particular that you would think of off the top of your mind that's like most people are least open about?
Oh, let's say, for me, right now, if I hire someone, most people look at a resume and they make a judgment on a resume. Right? Most people, they say, well, if they went to this school, or if they went to this level of education, or if, you know, if they have volunteer work on there, right? Like, those, me, I honestly, I need a conversation, right? And then I just really need time to observe that person's behavior.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to, because in my experience, they're gonna show me their best.
Yeah.
Right? Because, you know, someone wants a job, or someone wants this opportunity, or someone wants this contract. So they're gonna go and they're gonna give me their best. But I want to see what they're gonna give everyone else around them when there's no interest involved.
Right.
That's what I like to observe. You know, and for that you need time. So what we do is we do like a 90 to 120 day probational period. Because we want to see how you're going to act in the world, how you're going to act in environments. I want to take you to a different environment and see how you are.
Yeah.
I want to take you to a function where I don't get to be next to you all the time. I get to walk away and then see how you function. Yeah. You know, because for me, right, I think the number one most important thing, it comes with clarity, right? I want people to have these 3 C's in them, and that's where I think it's so important whenever hiring someone, is clarity, decision making, right? Then you want character, you want integrity, keeps the word, you know, and then lastly, you want competence. You know, and competence is the ability to assess the situation, and I don't need you to hit it out the park.
Right.
I just need to see effort with a little common sense, and you know, and just make it happen. You know, and competence, right? A lot of people they get this idea like if someone's competent, all of a sudden like they gotta be able to just go all out. No. What competence means is that you're able to constantly improve in every situation. And the more of the same situation that you're given, the better you get at it. If it's something brand new for you, I don't expect you to be an all-star today. I just need to see that when you're in that same situation, that there's been improvement from the last time you had to deal with it.
Right.
I just look to get better every day. 1% better every day. Why not?
Yeah. That's really important. You know, you got to be able to, you know, learn from the mistakes or learn from the things that seem new in that aspect. And now I don't want to let this slip by the wayside. Last week we started the conversation. We were talking about truth. That was the first thing that came up. Now, what happens when your truth doesn't necessarily align with the truth of your significant other or individuals that you're with? What do you feel like people could do in that aspect?
I'm gonna surprise you. You do nothing. You do not. Everyone has their own sovereignty over themselves. You do nothing. You just keep living your truth.
Right.
You know, the biggest misconception that people have is that when they feel like they're right about something, or they feel like they have a certain truth, right? And that they stand by it, is when they try and impose it on someone else. It just doesn't make sense. How can you expect to come up with your own truth and not expect that that individual wants to come up with their own truth as well?
Right, very true.
And to then go and take it to the next step, right? And the next level of that is to even assume that your truth is right. Because what I can tell you, I'm 37 years old right now. And when I think about my 21-year-old self-truth, worlds apart.
Different.
Worlds apart.
What's the biggest difference?
My heart. My love for people now, it was not the love I have for people today. Like, I've always loved people. Yeah. But, you know, at 21, even though I love people, it was a lot of self-interest. Okay. And now at 37, I love people, but my interest is more outwards. I'm more focused on picking up projects of community and how I can develop others and how I can give more to the world. Like, where can I get the most impact? Where at 21, I was achieving impact because I was always helping people, but it was where it met my self-interest. Sometimes now I turn out contracts that are lucrative, financially, because I understand that the impact isn't as strong as a contract over here or what I'm doing over here. Or even more importantly, sometimes I just say no to things because it doesn't align with Gifts Fitness vision and mission. It has to align with the vision and the mission. Right. And I don't mind our vision and mission serving anyone else's as long as we're in alignment with their vision and mission. But if it's not in alignment, I just don't do it. Because when I think about life, I think about ultimately the most important question we can ever ask someone is, how are you living? Now, how are you living? Okay. And the reason being is because it's about how you live your life day to day. If you don't like your day, if you don't like your structure of the things you gotta do, did you really live? Yeah. When one day I reach 100 plus years old, because I'm going for a long ride. Like, when I look back, do I want to think about how much I had to go through? Or do I want to think about, wow, what a magical ride? I spent so focused on, doing things that made my heart come alive, things that gave me energy, things that lifted my spirit. I'm going to always smile. The day I'm in my rocking chair, I'm just going to be constantly smiling. Damn, I remember that. I remember this. Wow, damn, we did that. Wow, damn, and like, look how we got here. You're gonna get to where you're gonna go anyway. If you're consistent and you put in the work, you're gonna get to where you're gonna go, no matter what. The question is, did you really pick the work that makes your spirit come on fire? Yeah. Did you pick the work that makes you come alive? And if you didn't, there's always time. It's right. Some people do make it, before their 20s. And some others do make it in their 20s. And some others make it in their 30s. But guess what? You can still make it in your 40s. You can still make it in your 50s, your 60s. I heard about, I don't remember her name, but a woman who became a painter, like world-renowned, in her 80s.
Wow.
In her 80s.
That's crazy.
End of the day, right? Like, if you think about life's ultimate discovery is when you figure it out what it was that you had to contribute, what it was that you had to give. Yeah. So the idea that, that you have to go through things from my perspective and my view, because again, we're talking about truths, right? This is my truth. I don't impose my truth on anyone. But my truth is that most of the things that we suffer are all self-created. Yeah. My question is, my question I ask is, why would I create that? All the time, when it comes to like anything that is possibly going to put me down internally, why would I create that? If I have the most important wealth in life, which is my health, how can something really bother me inside? You know, like there are people out there who don't have those kind of things. And you know, like you also have to know who you are. And what does that mean? What are you doing in a room or an environment that doesn't value you?
Yeah. You gotta get yourself out of those environments.
Too often, right? Too often people are putting themselves in rooms, right, that they're not valued. Best, you know, there's two great, you know, stories out there. One has to do with a watch. If you take it to the right place, they'll figure out that that's an antique watch, and they'll pay you a high price from it. But if you take it to a regular jeweler, they're gonna say it's garbage. If you take it to a regular pawn shop, they'll give you a couple bucks. Take it to the antique shop, oh man, yo, this is worth $1 million.
Right.
Same thing, let's say with cars, right? You take it to a regular mechanic, no, this thing is destroyed. You take it to a dealer, nah, you out here like just make them out. But now you take it to a car enthusiastic place where people are passionate about cars, and all of a sudden they give you the whole history of this car, and they tell you how special it is, and now they're giving you $200,000 for it. You know, it's because you gotta be somewhere where they know your worth. Yeah. Not everyone's gonna be able to see it. You know, sometimes for me, sometimes I'm in the world, right? Regular places, supermarket, this, that. Okay. You know, and to everyone there, I'm just a regular guy, which I am.
Yeah.
You know, but there's certain environments that whether, you know, when I walk into to go give a speech, when I walk in to go do a corporate consultation and go help their teams develop an environment and culture of high energy and high performance, you know, I'm Juan Vargas from Gift.
Right.
When I walk into Gift Fitness, I'm Juan Vargas, the founder of Gift. You know, so you gotta put yourself in the right places. Right. You know, places that open up where you're gonna go. So therefore, the truth for me is that all problems are created. I train everyone around me to come to me with solutions and not problems. Yeah. One of the schools that we have a contract in, we went and we spoke. And I spoke to the site coordinator over there. I was like, hey, listen, I got a great solution for you. She's like, awesome, I'm excited. Now I go talk to her, and she's like, "Yeah, that's great. Let me get everyone on board on it. It's a great idea." And I'm like, "No, I already talked to everyone." "Oh wow, did you really? Wow, that's incredible. Okay, so then how you guys gonna split the work?" "No, we have the resources for it, so we don't mind contributing." Right. "Are you sure? Like, it doesn't make no, it does make sense because at the end of the day, what matters is that these kids are impacted, and if I can make it so there's a system where all the teachers that show up to teach the kids with this, you know, because we're doing something that's monumental, something that we're innovating, something that's brand new, that we're giving kids the choices of either going to recess or skill development. And they're picking skill development. You see what I'm saying?
Nice. Interesting.
My thought process is that those teachers, I need them clear. Okay. I don't want them worrying about attendance or this or that or no, don't worry. Gift Fitness has a system. We're going to take care of everything. Right. You guys just go out there and give your energy and transfer who you are and your essence to the kids. You stay focused on the work that matters. Yeah. Because that's the priority. Yeah. But if I have the perspective, well, you know what? Those two other organizations, they're not part of mine. So why am I going to do? No, that's not everybody wins. Right. I come to collaborate.
Very important. Now, from 21 to now, what do you feel like helped you change your focus onto heart or onto people? Was there something that helped it shift for you?
You know, it's life, right? You gotta pay attention. Okay. You know, that I've always paid attention. I've always observed. I've always been present. I've always been consciously paying attention to people, to behaviors. You know, the first time you fall in love, it's good. That little heartbreak, you know, before you think the world is about you, that and revolves around you is good for you. because that's what turns your love from being, the kind of love that's selfish to the kind of love that's outward. And then you see love in everything. But more importantly, that after that first heartbreak, then your empathy and your compassion is born. And then you're able to see others where they're at, and then you can pick them up. And you can, and then from there, it's just constant action. I constantly threw myself in different environments. I constantly restarted. If in this environment I'm the top guy over here, I would leave it to go be the bottom guy somewhere else and then build my way up. So I'm constantly going through this cycle in life where I go to the top, then come back down to bottom, restart again in a different environment with different challenges, different obstacles, because I keep exposing myself to more. And as I continue to expose myself for more, I have all these experiences. So then my neuroplasticity from the pattern recognition, of all these different experiences, I use that to connect with people in every environment. And then once I'm able to connect, then I'm able to collaborate. And that's the thing. It's about collaboration. You can't, every situation you go into, it really should be win-win. You'll read some books and they'll tell you, hey, listen, maybe, you should always win. No, you don't have to win from negotiation. Even for a while, sometimes losing them.
What does that help with?
Your credibility. End of the day, I'd rather be the guy who was successful at 5 different contracts and maybe didn't make out, right? Than be the guy who was successful at 1, made money, but then I never get called again. But now with those 5 other contracts, I maybe didn't make money on, right? Now the next, actually for the rest of your life, now you're making money on every other contract because everyone knows you come through. Everyone knows you over deliver. And that's the thing. Everyone has this perception that, hey, what do I get? No, ask yourself, what do you get to give?
I think that's a much better question to be asking yourself.
Ask yourself what you get to give.
Yeah.
I want to be able to give. Because at the end of the day, as you continue to give, you get better at doing. Right. And the value is in the doing. The value is in actually the work itself and getting it done and doing it and saying, hey, I did that. I did this. So, the famous Picasso, story is when he drew on a napkin and he told his lady, hey, listen, this is $50,000 or whatever he charged. And then the lady was like, are you kidding me? You should do that in minutes. And he was like, no, man, this is taking a lifetime to be able to conjure.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. I love that expression.
Of course. So now in Gift Fitness, we got 5 years of making things happen. Imagine when we got 10 years. We ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, the journey, that process, it can't be undone. It can't be undone. But that's the thing that people, for whatever reason, they don't see a lot of the times. They don't take into consideration. And, how have you navigated places where you don't feel like you're being valued?
No, I'm valued wherever I go. That feeling within me doesn't exist.
Okay, within you.
And that's my truth,
Right.
And I say it because whether you like me or not, if you talk to me, you gain value. Mm-hmm. And if you don't like me for it, I understand.
Right.
But I'm always gonna give, and I'm always gonna understand you. Yeah. I don't. You know what it is? I'm someone who I don't need credit. I don't need validation. I don't need to be revered. I don't need to be praised. I'm just being, like I shine to shine. Mm-hmm. Like the wind just blows. Yeah. The rain just pours. I love that.
Yeah, it's funny because you're mentioning that, and last week also we glanced on a little bit of a topic that's interesting to me now. You were mentioning to me in passing, talking to different people, and where maybe the idea is that the energy that you give off, that is too much, per se, in that conversation that you were having, that there's too much, I don't know, and you were telling me that for that, you addressed it as that's me and it's not going to change. You know what I mean? And so there's a lot of people I feel as though maybe don't know how to like take that, like, wow, this is so new. They push it away. They ask for it. Like, this is what they want. In the back of their head, they feel like that's what they want. But then when that's given to them, they reject it. And so I don't know if we can add something.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't take it personal. I understand. My response to someone like that is always going to be, I understand. What I don't do is try to impose. See, the same way I don't want to be changed, it's the same way I'm not trying to change nobody.
Right. That's very important. That's key.
And then they have to now ask themselves, right? Are they trying to change me?
Wow. Wow. That's pretty big. That's pretty big. I would think that, yes, they're probably put off and their instant
100%.
is like, oh, I got to change this.
Hey, listen. When I say I understand, I mean, like, if we don't interact, I understand. The question you have to ask is, if you don't like, who I am as a human being, right, and my energy, why are you going out your way to try to change me? Because, I'm not seeking it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm not seeking it. I have a lot of love and joy in my life, and the people around me, they're treasures. I have a lot of love in my life. I have a lot of treasures in my life. Yeah. You see? So, therefore, when it comes to those people, right, I don't try to say, hey, listen, maybe you should do this, or maybe you should do that. No, I honestly, I'm very polite. I'm very kind. When they want to talk to me, I listen. Yeah. And then I don't coach. I don't give my wisdom in those moments.
Okay.
But what I can tell you is they are then, eventually they kind of just ask for it. And then I give it once they ask. Yeah. But if they don't ask, it's not my business. But ultimately, right, they're still trying to change me. And I as a human being, I can't let that be because there's too many people that depend on me. Unlike them, I'm responsible for a lot of human beings. See, because if you're trying to change someone, that's self-interest. When you're letting people be, that's called outwardly love. That's for the love of people. I'm not here, to change people. I'm here to point the way for people when they need some clarity, need some direction. I just point the way. Okay. Hey, listen, if this is what you're looking for, I took that path.
That's a big distinction.
This is the trail that I left behind when I took that path. If you like that way, because even for me, right, I do seek counsel. But I seek counsel from people that have done it. I seek counsel from people that are believable. I don't seek opinion.
Okay.
And another thing, I like to have conversations when it comes about certain things about the knowing. And unfortunately, sometimes people do get offended when I'm like, well, is this what you think or what you know? Because if you're giving me your opinion, right, I did too much work to have this conversation.
Right.
It's not personal.
Yeah, there's a big distinction between the two.
Of course. I'm just asking that human being to also come prepared because I'm prepared to have this conversation. Right. If you're unprepared to have this conversation, is it really fair for me? And more importantly, is it really fair for you? Mm-hmm. And I say it, right, because this is the idea of life, right? And if you understand this, like you always have a compass, right, when dealing with certain things. Knowledge gets rid of ignorance, and wisdom gets rid of foolishness. So, if you're unprepared in these fields, does it make sense to have the conversation? And now, the kind of human being I am, I'm a giver, so I still have the conversation, believe it or not.
Right.
I don't judge.
Yeah.
But I do tell people, hey, I'm also an honest man. I'm going to give you my truth. So if you can't handle my truth, I also understand if you choose not to have the conversation. But when you choose to have the conversation with me, I'm not going to conform to what you want me to be. You see, because that's where people make a mistake. And then, you know, sometimes they do get upset. Sometimes they do feel some kind of way. But the kind of things that are going through my mind, I'm very passionate. I'm over here trying to change the world for better for future generations. I'm trying to make my contribution.
Yeah.
I'm trying to give impact. You know, I'm like any other human being. I only have 24 hours in a day. You know, I don't have time to talk about the grocery trip to the store. And, you know, or look at this funny video. Or look at this meme. Or, hey, do you know what happened at my class today? You know, if it has to do with something with adding value to you, I don't mind taking the time.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be talking to me about other people, if you're going to be talking to me about, you know, things that don't matter in this world, that, you know, that it has no purpose behind it, I'm not the person to be having the conversation with about that. Yeah. You know, I'm not, how do I explain it? I'm not looking for a laugh. You know, I laugh all the time.
Right.
But I laugh all the time in the doing of the work.
Exactly.
You know, like that's where I choose to have my fun at.
Yeah, in there, getting your hands and feet dirty. You know?
And it's the life I've chosen.
Sure.
You know, it's just where it is. I don't get to have all the recreational activities that most people get to have. I can't make it to every birthday. I can't make it to every baby shower. I can't make it to every event that's out there. I can't make it to all of them.
Wow, can we touch on that a bit? Because I feel like there's, especially when it comes to individuals that aren't maybe working on the same level, it's hard for them to understand that it's like, yes, it might be my birthday today, but guess what? It's just another day to me, and it's like I'm just gonna keep going. I'm just gonna keep working. I'm just gonna keep chugging through this.
I love life. And for me, life is about experiencing, and life is about doing. I'm living my life's work. I don't see me having the need to stop. I don't see me having the need to have a break. And I understand that that's somebody else's truth. But I can't tell you how often I've heard like, hey, listen, like, yo, you need to take a break. Or you need to slow down. The reality is, right, for most people, if you work 8 hours a day, right, you guys spend some time after those 8 hours, you know, doing something to build your life. You can't just give 8 hours away to someone else's life and then not give to yours. Unless you guys are that 8 hours you're giving it to something that aligns with your vision and mission and something that aligns with your dreams, and then that makes sense. Sure. But you gotta do a little bit more. And I've studied what successful people do. But I'm also a little crazy. I've also studied what unsuccessful people do.
But there's a lot of gems in that.
So what am I gonna do? Am I gonna do when I hear unsuccessful habits trying to be thrown on me? Am I gonna do that? No, I can't, because I know that that's not the way. Right. I know the way. I study the successful people, and as I do that, the world around me keeps growing. Mm-hmm. You know, the same way I don't expect anyone to have to think the way I do. You know, I also ask for people to not think I have to think the way they do. Because I'm very conscious. I'm always paying attention. And when you pay attention like me, you really know what works and what doesn't. And I'm not a repeat offender. You know, one time, I make a mistake one time, I grow fast. Yeah. For one mistake, I grow fast, like exponentially. When I make a mistake, when I fail at something, my speed of growth is like whoosh, like a shooting star.
Right. And why? What's the hurry in learning from it quickly for you?
There's no hurry. I just love to learn. Okay. I love to learn.
Right.
And when you're winning, when you're constantly correct, right? There's not a lot of learning there.
Yeah.
But when you make a mistake, right? It's not for me. It's not like, oh man, like, oh wow, I can't believe I did that. For me, it's like, oh man, I see it. Like, all right, so this is what I gotta do. All right, I gotta change this up. I gotta do this. All right, let me go over there. Like, it's an excitement because now I can see more.
Right.
But most people, right? They're so afraid of making a mistake. They're so afraid of doing something wrong. You only really grow by risking things. You only really grow by shooting your shot. You know, like you learn by doing.
Yeah.
If I wait to have the perfect plan, I'll never do it.
This would have never started if you were waiting on the perfect.
You can't. You just gotta go. Go.
Yeah.
And that's the way life works. Just go experience it. Harness life. Life is gonna give you an abundance of opportunities. It's just about what you want to do. You know, but are you paying attention to the potential of all the possibilities around you? Attention, potential, and possibilities. Those are three important words. You put them together and you'll find nothing but abundance. You'll be able to see so much more and understand that what you see is not all there is. And the only way that you can expand on that is to go into the world and go see more.
Yeah.
Because the whole purpose of life is to see it all. You know, a perfect example, right? I can go to Rome and I can go look at everything that's there, right? And I can see it, right, firsthand. Or I can study Rome for a year through the history books. I can learn about Octavius. I can learn about Caesar. I can learn about every single building, the architecture, right? And now when I go see Rome in person, I actually know where I am because I can see more. I prepare to see more.
Right.
But how often do people go see things and they don't even know what they're looking at? They're seeing it.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. They just see it on the surface level. I love to see into the depth of everything.
Right.
You know, I can see perfect analogy we could use, right? I can see as far as the pond.
Okay.
Or I can see as far as the lake. Or I can choose to see the whole ocean.
Yeah. And the ocean is very vast. That's big.
And that's where it is. You know, most people don't prepare. What happens when you prepare?
Yeah.
What happens, you know, we're going to do this pep rally on Monday. You think I didn't go see what other schools were doing for pep rallies?
Nice. And so what was the usefulness in that for you?
That I know that we are some overachievers because what I'm planning for them is I'm really taking the time. I'm really perfecting it. You know, it's not just going through the motions for us. For us, is we are putting on a showcase of experience to expand these kids so they can gravitate to more in life.
Yeah, and that's important, especially for those kids that, sometimes it feels almost as though they have no hope or little to none in the environments that they come up in, Much different than the environments that sometimes we have around us, but that's the reality of the world. And more importantly, that's the reality of their life,
So think about what they're going to be able to access in their memory because of that day.
Yeah. Yeah, you're giving a lot to them to be able to reflect on and like hope for, because you were explaining it earlier. It's like, man, they're going to be able to see in real life a model of excitement, enthusiasm, where sometimes they probably don't see that.
Well, that's it. It's exposure. We become what we're exposed to. If I can read about greatness. I can see greatness on TV, but there's nothing like seeing greatness right before my eyes. That experience, it changes who you are on the level of your own biology. Like there is genes inside of you that get unlocked from experiences in person. Nothing will ever trump firsthand experience. You want to collect something in your lifetime? Collect firsthand experiences. Nothing can beat that.
On the topic of firsthand experience, as you're mentioning this, it occurs to me that you like Broadway.
Love it.
Yeah, and so what sprouted that inside of you? The love of Broadway, or what do you get what's that feeling that you have that's when you're there?
Human excellence. There is no, hey, we got to take that shot again.
Yeah, it's very true.
What level of practice and repetition does it take to be on for so many days?
Yeah, that's so true. I've never thought of that.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's so
And
powerful.
then you're constantly doing it over and over again. So what love do you have to put in those repetitions for what you're doing? To be on, to the smiles, to the emotions, to be in constant character. That it doesn't matter what's going on in your life. It's you got perfection.
Yeah, that's funny. Actually, as you mentioned that, it makes me think on another point that I've also thought about a lot, and it's with teachers, and especially those teachers that are like, wow, you just see that they have a passion that burns within them. Teachers or leaders in general, where if they're teaching these kids year over year over year, and you're talking about careers over 20 years, where it's like the same, same group of kids are coming through with issues or whatever, and they're trying to teach them, and they're getting asked the same questions, but they have to give them their all each and every time. That's always occurred to me as something so noble, and like so
Well,
amazing.
it's literally your highest personal moral ideal. And if you don't have a genuine love for kids, you shouldn't be teaching. Because the reality is, right, a teacher gets so much. When you see a child arrive at an understanding because of you, that's priceless.
Yeah, for sure.
When you see them being great, when you see them emulating you, your energy, like you see that they're smiling the way you smile, you see that they're excited the way you're excited, when you see that they're enthusiastic about whatever they're doing.
It's priceless.
And of course, especially when you have the point of reference of where they began.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I've been in assemblies where we do them and we're going over the terms and like flow, focus, freedom, feedback, 4%. And you have a whole auditorium of kids doing it along with you. How powerful that is.
It is. Yeah, it's amazing.
So for teachers are blessed.
Incredibly, man. I think that they're in a lot of ways are real life superheroes.
They're undervalued.
Certainly.
They
Certainly.
need to be more valued. They
Certainly.
I believe it's Finland. They got the educational system to like an incredible level.
Oh yeah.
And for us as a people, what we have is we have a lot of educators now who are trying to make a better system, and it's working because we're all excited about it. We're discussing education today, and it takes all of us, and it takes all our contributions to do that. Let's give these next upcoming generations what we didn't have, and more importantly, let's make sure that it keeps going.
Yeah, it's so insane to me. I mean, the fact that you mentioned Finland as being somebody that's got it under control, and it's like last week we were talking about different things that are also wrong with the system in our nation. And it's incredible to me that we have 4% of the population and 25% of the incarceration rate is in America.
Well, this is the best way to look at it. We can't look at the problems.
That's why you're in the root. It
Hey,
starts in the
let's
schools and
let
the
let
environments.
let's focus on solutions.
Yeah.
You know, because if we, you know, I hear a lot of people say, America this, America that. But what about
Okay.
the idea of, hey, what are you doing to make it better?
Sure.
It was, I believe it was John F. Kennedy. Don't ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country.
Right.
The reality is, whatever problems we're having is that we all need to do a better job of doing. And is it easy? No. Are there forces that be that are against all that good? Yeah, it's life. You know, it's been like this since the beginning of time. What I say and my perspective and my truth is, let's not focus on talking about the problems and let's focus on talking about what we can do. Because that right there, that's what's going to make changes.
Yeah. Certainly. I think that's the path that you're paving right now and that's being created in this environment. You know? And with that,
That we are paving.
yeah. Yeah. Everybody inside of this entire environment. But one, thank you. We
Thank
are what
you.
we believe.